Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm out at the range just kind of goofing around. I picked up a new gun. I did not intend to actually pick this gun up. I just came across my desk. A customer at Copper Custom had ordered this gun a long time ago. It's an SBR. It's an Auto-Ordnance Thompson M1A1 semi-automatic rifle. And he ordered it and had it on layaway for quite some time. And when it came in the store, I said to myself, oh man, I really want that thing. I went up on a shelf, and next thing I know, my partner Dave had set it out on the wall. And this is like almost a year later. I saw it sitting there and I'm like, what happened, man? And he said, well, the guy came in, had just a few bucks left to pay on it, but decided he wanted to go with a different rifle. And this became available, which I immediately snatched it up. This gun is one of the most iconic firearms in U.S. military history. Again, it's the M1A1 Thompson submachine gun. This gun went through a number of different evolutions. When it first came out in 1918, the gun was being developed by General John Thompson to be used in the trenches of World War I. As fate would have it, by the time they got the original prototype ready and shipped out to Europe, the war had already ended. So the gun never really made an appearance in World War I, but it went on to be used in World War II all the way through Vietnam. Matter of fact, I think the guns finally went out of U.S. inventory sometime in the 1970s. Now the original, now again, this is a semi-automatic. The original fired from an open bolt. Right now I have the bolt locked to the rear, but and the original was select fire, so you could either fire it as a semi-automatic or a fully automatic. This is just a semi-automatic. But the gun went through a number of different evolutionary changes. The original had a vertical fore-end grip, had nicknames like the Chicago typewriter. In the Roaring 20s, the guns became very iconic because gangsters of the era preferred them. The guns were considered to be expensive when they came out. They cost $200, so commercially they were something of a flop. A new Ford vehicle cost $400. So this thing literally was half the price of a new car. Not only that, the original NFA tax from 1934, they set the tax at $200 because of the price of the Thompson. They wanted to set the tax so high that the average consumer couldn't afford to pay the tax, therefore they wouldn't want to or be able to buy a machine gun. Some interesting facts. So anyway, the gun evolved over time. By the end of World War II, this is what the Thompson looked like, and the reason it looks so sparse is because they were trying to reduce manufacturing time and costs. So the vertical fore-end grip, the ribbed barrel, the cuts compensator, which was kind of iconic with the gun itself, all that was deleted. As a matter of fact, the really functional rear sights that had flip-up ladder sights and all sorts of crazy stuff were done away with just a simple rear sight like this, which is nothing more than a piece of sheet metal that's folded up. The original removable stock is no longer removable. And it was also originally set up to run with drums, either 50 or 100 round drums. The M1A1 did not have the drum cut, which would be a horizontal cut across the receiver here. It only accepts 20 or 30 round stick magazines. The military quickly decided they didn't like the drums because the drums rattled. They weren't necessarily all that reliable, and they were quite heavy. The gun weighs as much as an M1 Garand, so it's not a lightweight gun. It's a very interesting piece of history again. I'm really excited to have this thing. It's manufactured again by Auto-Ordnance. It's chambered in the original 45 ACP. Now what I have found with this gun, I've only had it for a few days. I've shot probably 300 or 400 rounds through it. I have noticed it can be a little bit finicky. I'm shooting 230 grain ball, courtesy of Federal ammunition. It's an American Eagle. And the gun seems to be mostly reliable, but occasionally I'll get a failure to feed. Other than that, it's a lot of fun to shoot, and surprisingly, these fixed sights are spot on. Make sure we got it on fire. All right, so there's one of the failures to feed I was talking about. You can see where it just overrode the round in the magazine. I'm thinking perhaps this ammunition isn't quite hot enough. If I pull the bolt to the rear just a little bit, it'll pop up and into the chamber, close, and the gun will return firing. All right, and another one. This is actually interesting. I haven't had that many in a magazine. All right, and it locks open on the last shot fired. That was only 25 rounds. Let's load up another magazine, do a little bit more shooting with the gun, then we'll take it apart and show you what it looks like on the inside. All right, we're at the 100-yard line, and we're gonna see how well the little Tommy gun does at this distance. I'm probably gonna have to aim at the top of his head to score any hits, because this round's really dropping like a rock, I would imagine. And 100 yards, all right, hold the top of the head. Yeah, scored a hit. Hit him again. Hit him again. I missed that one. I totally pulled it. It broke to the right. You guys should be able to hear those rounds connecting with the steel plate on the microphone. Yeah. Now what's kind of funny is this stock is cut in such a way it kind of slopes down, and it's kind of designed to be in the pocket of your shoulder. But because it's metal, it wants to slide off my shoulder, and I'm constantly readjusting my cheek weld. All right. 3 rounds out of the magazine, didn't connect, but not too shabby. I mean, left and right, obviously, this little rifle is spot on, and looks like elevation. I can see where it's hitting the paint down there. Looks like I'm still hitting him pretty much center of mass while I'm in at his head. These things are surprisingly accurate. The ergonomics aren't bad. This pistol grip is really comfortable, has a little finger groove here. With my big Yeti hands, it fills my hand up nicely. The trigger, spongy, creepy, not all that great. Oh, and by the way, not one malfunction in that magazine. So that's kind of good news. But overall, the ergonomics of the gun are pretty good. When you go to change the magazine, all you have to do is hit that button and it pops right out. You can also do it quickly with the hand that's pulling the magazine out. Let me show you this really quick. If you reach up and grab the magazine like this and hit this with your thumb, it comes right out. Then you push up on this and find that little track. It seats it. This is the selector lever. Right now it's on fire. Back here would be safe. On the machine guns, there would be another little lever here that would rotate all the way around past the magazine release. Semi-automatic, I believe, would be here, and fully automatic would have it switched all the way forward here. So the originals were capable of semi-automatic and fully automatic fire. Now, once again, I've already mentioned this, the original's fired from an open bolt. If you've never fired a semi-automatic open bolt before, it's interesting. When you pull the trigger, you can feel the bolt start to go home, and it somewhat disrupts the sight picture, at least in my experience. Shooting a closed bolt gun like this is much easier. Let's take a look inside the gun and show you how it works. Let's field strip the old M1A1. First, you're going to want to make the weapon safe. I'm going to drop the magazine out, visually inspect the chamber. It's really easy to do. You can see the barrel right there. I'm going to go ahead and let the bolt go home. Make sure the weapon's on fire, and then I have to release the striker. Okay? Now in the rear, it's kind of hard to see. There's a little dimple right there. Okay, you got to push that up, and while you're pushing that up, you have to pull the trigger and slide up on the receiver, okay, the lower receiver. Now it's only going to go to a certain point, then stop again. That little dingus inside there is now hanging up on the trigger assembly. You got to pull the trigger again, and you can kind of maybe see it hanging down right there. And this is where it gets interesting. Use my little knife here. You're supposed to use a flathead screwdriver. Pull the trigger, reach down in there and push that little thing up, and then it'll come free, and you can take the two receivers apart. I don't think I got it. Just got to get that little dingus up over the, there we go. All right, over the trigger system. Now take a look at the trigger system. When you pull the trigger, you can see how that sear bar drops. The striker engages the sear surface right here. So when you pull this down, it releases the sear, and this is a very similar arrangement to how the open bolt would work. Instead of holding a striker back, it would hold the entire bolt back. When you pull it down, it lets the striker go home, goes bang. As the bolt comes back, it hits this disconnector, pops the sear back up to catch the striker. As the bolt comes to the rear, it brings the striker with it, and the striker hangs up on it, and the gun's recocked. Okay, so it's only semi-automatic. Here's the inside of the bolt. You can see it's a big, heavy bolt. It's a blowback operated gun. The gun is designed to use both the weight of the bolt and the friction of the bolt to slow it down to make it safe so that the bullet will exit the barrel before the breech opens up and then extracts and ejects the spent casing. This is the striker system here. Okay, so this is where your firing pin gets whacked. This is what engages with the sear surface here. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull forward. You got to push this takedown button here in the rear forward. Push that forward, and then you got to kind of pry this little spring and guide, dual recoil spring and guide out. Okay, that comes out, and now your recoil spring, which would be the same on the full auto, comes out the rear. You can now take the bolt back to the charging handles disassembly area, which is right here. That comes out, and now you can just pull the bolt back and out. Now it's a rather unique looking bolt. Inside the semi-automatic, you also have this little striker hammer. They call it a hammer in the manual that needs to be in there. But it's got a rather unique shape to it. And then this actually goes forward and strips the round and then chambers it. And then the rest of the bolt is behind this little, I don't know, proboscis. The gun's really easy to clean. When you take a look inside, it's just one big open trough. So it'd be very easy for a soldier to clean in the field. Put it back together, put the bolt in, slide it forward, put the charging handle in, take your primary recoil spring, slide that in, make sure that you don't lose that little hammer that I showed you earlier. Now you can see inside as I'm pushing forward, there's a U-shaped notch on the rear of this little block that has to slide over and engage this. So I'm going to put the dual recoil springs in. They have little holes in the back of the bolt. All right, I put that in, and now I'm going to push on this little takedown plunger on the back, kind of guide these in, and set that down inside there, and it's ready to go back together. Now you want to make sure that your disconnector arm is forward, and it goes back together much easier than it comes apart. You just line these two L shapes up like that, and just push forward, and the gun's back together and ready to fire. Really, really simple to do. Now again, the stock doesn't come off. That's pretty much all you have to do to field service the M1A1 Thompson submachine gun, or in this case, the SBR. All right, let's have a little bit of fun with the Tommy gun. I'm going to go ahead and load it up. Now I've noticed it is much easier to load this thing with the bolt lock to the rear, which you can do manually by pushing up on the bolt stop right here and pulling the bolt to the rear. Trying to get a full magazine into the gun with the bolt closed is almost impossible to do. Go ahead and charge it. Now, soldiers in World War II may have shot the weapon like this. I'm going to try to walk the fire in on that challenge steel target as I'm walking forward. And even though it's not a submachine gun, it's still going to be some fun. Let's see how the old 80s combat hip firing walk works. Okay, not that good. Hey, but we had 100% function that time around. Yeah, that's kind of fun. I'm gonna load it up again and try some other stuff with this thing. This is just a fun gun to shoot. This is the M1911. This is also made by Auto-Ordnance. I've actually had this gun for over a year. It hangs on the wall in my studio. You may have seen it in some other videos, but this is a replica of a U.S. military 1911. It says U.S. Army. You probably won't be able to see it here on the side. Very sparse in the markings. But yeah, this is also made by Auto-Ordnance, which is now owned by Car Arms. Let's do a little bit of shooting with this. Just like the original, it only holds 7 rounds. It's got the military sights on it, which are very sparse. And that just shoots great. All 1911s seem to shoot great. This one's kind of fun because it doesn't have the lowered ejection port that the later versions would have had. It's kind of a hybrid, has the hump back strap. It doesn't have the total, I mean, it's like somewhere between a long trigger and a short trigger, but overall the gun's a really neat looking little pistol. Goes along nicely with the Thompson. I had it hanging on the wall. I thought I'd bring it out and show it to you guys. If you're looking for something that's somewhat authentic in the military 1911 market without breaking the bank, you can check these little guys out. All All right, so check this out. This is kind of interesting how the Tommy feeds. So the chamber is all the way up here where my finger is. You can see where the barrel starts right there. This whole area right here, at least an inch, is the feed ramp. So when I put the magazine in the gun, if I can get the magazine in the gun, you can see the round sets all the way back here, and it's got to travel all the way up here, almost 3 times the length of the round itself. Pretty interesting. That's really rocking that steel target. Here's another thing I've noticed. All right, every time I fire the gun like that, I have no malfunctions. It's because I'm really able to get a hold of the gun really tightly. What I was talking about at the 100-yard line, when I shoot this gun, it wants to slide down off my shirt. So when it recoils, it's sliding down. It's not coming straight back into my shoulder. That may actually play a role in why that bolt's not making it all the way to the rear. I'm limp shouldering it because the thing's sliding off my shoulder with every round fired. Huh. Let's test this theory one more time. Let's load up another magazine, fire it from the hip again, see what happens. All right, got another 30 rounds. So that last mag dump I did from hip firing was 30 rounds. This is 30 rounds as well. And let's see if it cycles 100% again. I think I'm onto something. So a little bit hotter ammunition definitely will make the gun run better, and if I'm not wearing a slick jacket, it won't be sliding down my shoulder every time it fires. So definitely a little hotter ammo will cure all that ails my little Thompson. That's good news. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed coming out to the range with me to shoot my M1A1 Thompson. I have a lot of fun with this gun. I'm also really happy that I got to the root of the problem with the gun not cycling reliably. It turns out that the gun, if it's shot from the hip and it's not sliding off my shoulder under recoil, it cycles 100%. A little bit hotter ammunition probably will fix everything that ails this little gun, which is really good news. If you guys have any questions about the Thompson, you can ask those questions just in the comment section down below. I stick around for the first couple of days after I post a new video and answer the questions that crop up. Also, if you guys would like to support the Military Arms channel, you can do so by swinging by Copper Custom and picking up a Mac patch for $3.99. It really does help out here around the channel. And if you guys haven't already, please check out full30.com. That's full30.com. We've taken all the web's best firearms content creators out there, brought them under one roof, and that is full30.com. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you guys soon.